Welcome, explorers. My name is Jasmine, and I am a part of the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership. And we are so excited to have you guys join us today for our virtual Explorer experience with Balboa Park Sustainability. And this is a live experience that's exclusively for you, our annual pass holders. And it will be recorded so you can come back again and rewatch later. Throughout this experience, we invite you to ask any questions that you have throughout the entire experience in the Q&A chat box. And before I introduce our speaker, please go ahead and close out your browsers or any open windows you may have open so that we can have the best streaming experience possible. Are we good? Great. So today I'm so excited to introduce to you Ruby, who is the manager of the Balboa Park Sustainability Program. Hey, Ruby.
Hi, Jasmine. Thank you for the introduction, and hello, Balboa Park Explorers. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate Earth Month, now that we're in April. So to give a little introduction about our program, our sustainability program was launched in 2008 in partnership with the City of San Diego and SDG&E. So our purpose and our mission is to serve the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership arts, science, and culture members. And through this capacity, we assist and support members' sustainability needs and goals as liaisons to resources, to City of San Diego departments or utilities like SDG&E and other community partners. And through this interconnected community, we are able to support members in advancing Balboa Park as a whole towards a socially, environmentally, and economically sustainable future. And so our vision is for Balboa Park to truly shine as an exemplar of sustainability, as it is our city's crown jewel. And so our main focus and support for the arts, science, and culture organizations in the park is by providing them with sustainability best practices, legislation and policy updates, and other resources revolving their operations and maintenance of their buildings. So this includes 6 categories that we focus on, which are energy efficiency, waste reduction and diversion, water conservation, green purchasing, alternative transportation, and education and outreach.
I love that. That's so awesome. It's really cool to just be able to learn more and more about what the park's doing, and it's so cool that you're such a huge part of that. Yeah, so I recently learned that one of the oldest and most iconic buildings in Balboa Park, the Museum of Man, has achieved a LEED Gold certification through the U.S. Green Building Council. And could you share with us a little bit what LEED is and what are some green initiatives that the museum has followed to get them there?
Yes, so we are super excited. The San Diego Museum of Man underwent LEED building certification in 2016. And so for those who are not familiar with what LEED stands for, see if I can, there we go, switch it to the next slide. LEED is an acronym and it stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. What you see on your screen, you may see the logo there. You might have seen that logo on buildings. There's probably plaques or stickers or some sort of label on a building that is LEED certified. So if next time you go to the Museum of Man, I believe it's in their lobby area that you can see their LEED plaque. And so LEED is a third-party verification program that is through the U.S. Green Building Council. And they evaluate, and in this case for the Museum of Man, they evaluated the operations and maintenance. And there are many other LEED certifications out there, but this specifically one for existing buildings and operations and maintenance is what applies to buildings in Balboa Park, like the Museum of Man. And so I mentioned earlier the categories of sustainability, energy, waste, water, transportation, purchasing. So all of these things align with LEED and what LEED evaluates through their rigorous program. So for Museum of Man, it is one of the original structures from the 1915 Panama, California exposition. And so they received LEED Gold in 2016. So that was very exciting. They were the highest LEED certified building so far in the park out of 10 buildings that have been LEED certified. And so after going through the evaluation, the main initiatives that led them to gold were, as you can see in the photo here, energy efficiency measures like installing LED lights, installing occupancy sensors. You may see those in buildings or in rooms, or you may notice when you're walking into a room, the lights turn on. So it senses motion. So whenever the room is empty, the lights either dim or they turn off, and that's an energy conservation measure right there. And so
That
there
one always takes me off guard. Whenever I walk into a room and I'm like, oh,
it just
I love it
illuminates
though. Yeah, there you go.
magically.
It's kind of like, wow, look at that.
Yeah, so that's always nice. In the grocery stores too, the aisles might light up, right? It's pretty cool. And so they're about 90% LED lights right now, which is really great. And they use a lot of daylighting through their windows as well, and natural ventilation where possible. So in regards to water conservation, if you look at the screen on the top right, you may see that those are drought tolerant or low water or native type of plants to our region here in San Diego. And so with the landscaping outdoors, they replace that with this type of xeriscaping is what the term is used for it. And that helps conserve water, as well as on the inside, they've installed low flow water fixtures in the bathroom. So that involves like faucets, urinals, toilets. Doesn't sound sexy, but it really makes a huge impact for water conservation. And in regards to transportation, as you can see in the photo there, we have a lot of the staff at the Museum of Man take either bicycle to work, cycle to work, or some other alternative mode to get to work to the park. So that's a really great reduction on greenhouse gas emissions right there. They, in the side of waste, they do their regular recycling, but they also have an e-waste program where they divert hazardous waste from going to the landfill. But really helped them achieve gold was something called REX. So REX stands for Renewable Energy Credits. So basically what this means is at Balboa Park, at the Museum of Man, they currently do not have the capacity to install a bunch of solar or a wind turbine to generate their own renewable energy. And so in that case, they buy these credits, and it credits them as using renewable energy, even though they're not using it necessarily directly. So they're able to do that. So something that's pretty cool about right now in our energy scene is that SDG&E is actually providing all of us, not only in Balboa Park, but us at home, we're getting 45% renewable energy right now to the grid from solar and wind sources. So, you know, it just takes us closer to 100% renewable goal, which is a huge goal, not only in the city of San Diego, but in our state. So SDG&E also offers a program called Eco Choice if you did want to increase to 100% renewable energy, and actually it usually reduces your bill by a few dollars every month. So if you want to save a little, that's a great way to do it and also increase your renewable energy. So the Museum of Man, like I mentioned, currently holds the highest LEED certification ranking at gold. A lot of our other buildings of the park are silver, and we have one and a few that are just LEED certified. So that's still a huge achievement in these older historic buildings. But we recently went through 4 building recertifications, and things are looking really promising that we'll get another gold certification soon. So hope to share that good news soon once we hear back.
Oh, I love that so much. That's seriously so amazing. I had no idea that was happening. I love it. Before I move on to our next question, explorers, do you guys have any questions for Ruby about LEED or about anything from the park or it pertains to LEED and Museum of Man?
Everyone's just blown away right now.
I know, just
wow.
completely floored,
And there's
completely floored. If you don't have questions, there's plenty of other things that we'll be talking about later down the line, so feel free to ask them then.
there is really so much more that the Museum of Man is doing. And some of it you can read about on our website, through our blogs, or even they have their exhibits team. They have a current exhibit called Living with Animals that really ingrained a lot of that sustainability, not only messaging, but in the production of the exhibit that they created in-house too. So that's a really neat exhibit to go check out next time you're there.
I love it. And before we move on, we do have a couple questions. Can you explain more about buying energy credits?
So that's the whole market that was created to get closer to 100% renewables. And a lot of places like in the park, we kind of run into those challenges of being able to produce renewable energy on site. And so it's still being produced. It's just feeding directly into the grid, which is the energy infrastructure. It's not meant it's not going directly to you necessarily when you purchase it, but it is helping increase, like if we're at 45 right now, it'll help increase it even higher.
Awesome. And one more question. Was there a lot of retrofit that needed to take place for the historical building, like the Museum of Man, to be certified?
There were the major retrofits were around energy efficiency. So a lot of the changing out of the lights, from changing from old fluorescents or incandescent lights to LEDs. And in order to do that, you do have to change the infrastructure of the electrical system throughout the buildings to be able to use LED lights. You can't just switch out a light too easily for some of the fixtures, so the ballast needed to be replaced, and that ends up happening. And then, like I mentioned, the water fixtures, installing low flow toilets, aerators on faucets, low flow urinals is another way that they were able to make a huge impact on gaining more points through LEED and reducing their overall environmental impact.
Okay, I lied. We have one more question, and I think this is a good one. Is there a benefit to getting LEED certification beyond the benefits of just doing things needed for the certification?
Yeah, so the reason why we went through the LEED certification for the buildings in the park, not only was it a centennial legacy goal to have 10 LEED buildings in the park, but really a lot of these sustainability efforts were being made. And so going through USGBC and the LEED certification process just helped verify that we were really doing all of this great work. And it helps us continue to push forward and continue advancing sustainability initiatives. So you just don't just achieve it and you're done. Every 5 years you need to renew it and go through the process again. And so that really helps the museums and us keep pushing our sustainability goals further and further in the park. And LEED is world renowned. It's a very well-known certification. So when people hear about it, probably mostly in the sustainability field, but hopefully you now are knowledgeable of LEED. And so next time you're going to be a little more aware when you walk into buildings, when you see a plaque, you may understand a little better what the process was, and that they really had to implement a lot of policies and measures to be able to achieve that certification.
I love it. And I know we are talking about the Museum of Man, but can you tell us what are some of the other efforts institutions at Balboa Park are also taking? Maybe just name us like 3 of them, because I think there's a lot, right?
Yes, well, we have 26 members, so I won't go through the whole list. um, but just to point out a few of them, currently the NAT, or the San Diego Natural History Museum, is working on really implementing a lot of sustainability in their strategic planning. So this is awesome because it doesn't just hit like one program or one department. It really kind of filters it throughout all of their operations, which is really amazing to see. MOPA, Museum of Photographic Arts, and the San Diego History Center last year, they were able to put their solar array and have it start functioning and producing renewable energy. And so that's offsetting 23% of their energy use right now. The San Diego Civic Youth Ballet, they're a smaller organization, but they're small and mighty, and they have a really great costume recycling program, and they also started a water refill program for their dancers so that they don't use single-use plastics and water bottles. And then the Japanese Friendship Garden, they're doing on-site composting. They've been doing on-site composting, but they're really looking to expand upon that. So I encourage anyone out there who wants to learn about composting and get your hands-on experience with it, you can, sign up to be a composting volunteer at the Japanese Friendship Garden.
That's something I definitely want to sign up to do in the future, hopefully, but I'd love that. And speaking of which, do you have any tips for our explorers or anyone else who's watching this? Just some tips that they can implement at home to reduce their environmental impact and save energy costs.
Absolutely. So I gave examples of how members are implementing sustainability, but the great thing is that you all can do it too. And so really, if we go through the categories that I mentioned earlier, and starting with energy, a really great way to reduce your energy use, just like the organizations in the park, is switching to LEDs. So this is just an example of an LED bulb that I have at home that I use to switch out the incandescent bulbs in the house. And it's pretty easy to do, and they're easy to find, and they're cheaper and cheaper every day, and they save you a whole lot of money. Which is really nice to see on our bills. And right now, if we're staying home a lot and using a lot of energy, that's a really important thing to do. And then also unplugging devices. So we call it energy vamping when we have appliances like our toasters, we don't use it all the time. So make sure to unplug those types of devices, or if you're charging your electrical devices, make sure to unplug them. Here I have an example of my little power strip. So I usually unplug this, but some of these come with a switch and you can just switch them off. Which is really useful, and that helps reduce energy vamping there. And then of course, using your natural daylight as much as possible. One other thing is something that's called time of use, and not sure if everyone's heard of that yet, but this is a statewide initiative through California to increase to get us to that 100% renewable energy. And in order to do that, they really want to decrease the use of fossil fuels. They're still being used usually from 4 to 9 p.m. every day. So if possible, I know that's when we make dinner. So it's fine, make dinner, but don't put in your load of laundry, don't have your dishwasher running and all of those things going on at once, because you're also getting charged more during that time. So avoid that time of use, 4 to 9, try to avoid 4 to 9 as much as possible.
That's really good to know. I'm a culprit of that. Always have the music blasting too, gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, no worries though, but it's just changing those little habits, that make a big difference. And so moving on to the next category, which I will talk about, is waste. So you've heard the saying, recycle, reuse, reduce, but there's a hierarchy to it, and recycling, just because we say it first doesn't mean that's the most important thing that we should be doing. Really, we should be focusing on reducing and reusing as much as possible. Reducing, so some ways to do that is basically ties into reusing. So, changing our habits, making sure we remember to take our water bottles with us, refillable water bottles when possible, or a coffee type thermos. Most places let you refill your coffee thermos, and you even get a discount at times, so that's really great. I know that with our current situation, we don't want to do that just in case anything might get transmitted, but usually it's pretty safe to do. So I encourage you to do that in the future. Something that I like to stash around in my bag, in the car, in the office, is having a reusable set of utensils. So these are bamboo utensils. Also straws. They come in glass, metal, silicone, whatever works for you, and in different shapes and sizes for boba drinks or smoothies that you might want to drink. And I also try to carry around a reusable napkin with me whenever possible. A little cloth napkin, you can reuse and rewash this many, many times. And you don't realize it, how much you go through napkins, but it's kind of a lot. So that helps reduce. And then when it comes time to recycle, that's usually your last resort. You say, okay, I'm reusing a lot. That's fantastic. So now I have a few things, but I need to recycle them. So usually our recyclables are glass, metal, papers, plastics. And so plastics is usually plastics 1 through 7, but I would suggest that you visit your waste haulers recycling guidelines, or if you're in the city of San Diego, check out the city of San Diego's website. If you're within the county of San Diego, they also have resources on their website as well on recycling best practices. But something that I just want to make sure that I mention is, when you're cleaning out your recyclables, well, I suggest that you clean them out. I know there's people that talk about water conservation and what's better, but I really recommend that you just do a little bit of water and a bit of rinsing out of any food and contaminants that might be on your recyclables. They need to be clean, empty, and dry. And the reason for that is everything is getting mixed together. And if food gets on the paper, that's a contamination source. And then your batch of paper is basically ruined and it can't be recycled anymore. So that's pretty unfortunate. One more thing, when it comes to plastic film, like plastic bags, I'm gonna grab those real quick. So if you get plastic bags from like food deliveries, or casing from drinks, or even bubble wrap or air pillows that come with your packages that you order online, make sure you do not put those in your regular blue bin. Those actually get caught in the gears at the recycling facility. You have to shut everything down, pull all that gunk out, so it really causes issues on their end. There are sources where you can take plastic film like that in your neighborhoods, and there is a website that's called plasticfilmrecycling.org. You go on there, it shows you what kind of items are recyclable for plastic film. You can enter your zip code, and then a few locations will pop up and will show you where you can go recycle that type of material. And then wish cycling, that's something that we want to try to avoid as well. If you're not sure if it should go in the recycling bin, probably best to check recycling guides, as I mentioned, or there's a website called wastefreesd.org you can check out as well. I'll take a little pause here just in case, Jasmine, there are questions that came through.
Well, these are just awesome tips. And if you could just share maybe 1 or 2 more tips, and then we'll just open up the floor for any questions anybody might have.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just jump over to water conservation really quickly. Of course, we don't want to let the water go on running when we're not using it, but check for leaks. The city and the county also offer rebates, and you can check out also San Diego County Water Authority for other tips and resources. Transportation, here in San Diego, we have lots of options for public transportation. So there's a website called iCommute that you can go visit and check out more resources there. And there's a handy dandy app that you can download called the Compass Cloud that you can download on your phone, and it's free, and you can buy your passes there, so you're going paperless, which is really nice. And then lastly, I'll touch on our education. So I talked a bit about sustainability in Balboa Park, but if you want to learn more about what's going on, we definitely have lots of information available for you on our website, so you can find out more there. We have blogs, and we share a lot of what members are doing around the park. Currently, we also have a digital version of our coloring book available, and so it's free for anyone to download and use. We have our social media campaign going on right now, and we're trying to get everyone to participate in our Coloring Camp Color Balboa Park campaign. So we'd love to see your creations. You can send that to us through our social media channels, or we'll probably share more information in a little bit.
I love that. That's so awesome. Yeah, I feel like I'm just soaking in all the tips and tricks right now. I love it. So we have a few questions. One is there a part of what's being done with a major remodel for the Menge Museum? I'm assuming that's like in conjunction with like LEED certification.
So yes, the Menge is currently going through their renovation process. They are looking into possibly looking for a LEED interior certification. So that'll be exciting to see. They're still, going through the process right now of doing a lot of those efforts. So we'll see probably in the next year how that all turns out. Super excited. It's going to look wonderful.
I love it. And another question is, reduce equals lots of food delivery happening right now. How about utensils there?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. So right now we're probably ordering a lot of food and helping our local businesses, which is fantastic. So something that you do, whether you're calling in for your order or you're ordering through an app, is usually there's a little note where you can write a little something or about how you want a special order. So what I do there is I try to note, please no utensils or straws or napkins if I don't need any napkins. I try to mention it there, and they're usually really great at it. Sometimes, they still show up because I think they're just used to putting that in a bag. But I've seen success in trying to do it. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah, I've definitely been seeing a lot there. So before we close out, if there's any more questions, we'd love to answer them. Any burning questions you guys have about sustainability or like what to do in this moment? I don't know. We'll give a moment for that.
Yeah, I'll give you a fun one for another water tip that I just remembered.
Ooh, yeah, tell us.
Well, this is something that I do personally at home. When I'm waiting for water to heat up, I have a bucket. So usually it's when I'm going to take a shower, I'll put the bucket there to collect the water as it's warming up and getting to temperature. And then that bucket, once it's full, you can flush a toilet with it. It's just flush down, yeah, or you can water plants outside. So that's a great way to reduce that as well.
That's so good. I need to do that with my plants. My plants are pretty thirsty right now. But yeah, thank you so much, Ruby, for everything that you shared with us today. I just feel like we're all walking away from this so informed and encouraged to live more sustainably. So thank you.
Yeah,
and
happy month.
Yeah, happy Earth Month. Woo! And thank you, explorers, for joining us today and for your awesome questions. Be on the lookout for new virtual Explorer experiences in the future. And if you want more Balboa Park information and content, including live chat, videos from across the park, visit culturalpartnership.org/updates. That's culturalpartnership.org/updates. And afterwards, if you could please take a few moments to fill out our survey so we can make these experiences even better for you in the future. And we hope that you enjoyed this experience, and we hope to host you again soon. So have a nice day, guys. Bye. Thank you, Ruby. Bye.